Well, guys, this is not really a U.S.-related problem, but it could become a U.S.-related problem as Canada has gone full, completely, I would say, communist and fascist in this sense, and we'll go say that they're monsters. Justin Trudeau is a monster, and we may have more videos on that, but this is more disturbing. It seems like we're going to go to the far as euthanizing children now, and including some of the other huge incidents that have been happening across the country with euthanasia. Now, I'll be probably going over some of these videos here to go showing you exactly what's been going on in Canada, how dangerous this possibly could be, and obviously showing you the danger, some of the real possibilities of why this is bad and why we probably shouldn't do this, and maybe some of the reasons why this is good. Here's one video that may show you why it might be good.
Corriveau visits her middle-aged son and daughter in this care facility, their lives sustained by feeding tubes. Both children have Sanfilippo syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that ravaged their minds and bodies over time, taking them from playful toddlers to this.
This is no life for anyone.
Corriveau says if the law allowed it and there was a painless method, she would consider ending their lives.
I just don't believe that they would want to stay alive the way they are.
How long are you willing to let them go on like this?
I have no choice. There have been times when I thought of doing something myself.
Now, this is just one example, I would probably say, of this being a correct choice. I would say that when you have kids or anybody that is suffering to the point to where they're pretty much a vegetable, where they have no will of their own, they essentially cannot function, they have to be fed through a feeding tube, or rather, there is no possible way where they can technically sustain or do their lives, and they are essentially look like these people where they have pretty much their soul, their essence is gone. Maybe euthanasia at this extreme example is correct, because let's be honest, you do not want to have somebody suffer that way. I know when my father had passed, it was either keep him on life support or etc. and have him, live out of the days, or have him pass peacefully and with less to little no pain as possible, because making them want to go through that is damn near, I would say, horrible in this sense. But the reality is that I think I understand this woman's right to choose a ability to want to euthanize them or put them down, as I guess you could say, peacefully, because no human should have to live like that. Now, here's another example here of a man possibly going through this as well, but we'll go deeper into the story because it seems to be more meets the eye. But there's a lot more nefarious things happening here in Canada that you guys probably should know. First, the clip of the man.
Took the life of his severely disabled daughter years ago, resulting in a conviction for second-degree murder.
I was just doing something that had to be done. It was the right thing to do. You have to think of the child first, and that the law doesn't think that way. The law thinks of the law first.
Latimer hopes one day those laws in Canada will change to give people like Corriveau the right to end a child's painful existence.
Now, as you see that he had no choice because this kid was, obviously in the same situation as the other two kids, and that would be understandable. But here's the thing that we have here in society is that what leads to a dangerous road, or rather we have governments do this. See, when you give governments power to do something that could technically, in theory and in all reality be for the benefit of people and good, government will use that to make it more corrupt, will make it be more evil in this sense, to the fact that why would you want this to happen, or why do you even want it to exist? And the dangers that lie is that that's something we as a people have to come up with. What do we want to implement if the government is going to use this in a nefarious way? And this seems to always happen, is that the government will use this in a nefarious way. It's just like guns. You can use them in a nefarious way and hurt people that are innocent, Or you can use guns as in a positive way and help people that are being attacked, or for self-defense of yourself. There is always two sides of the same coin, and sometimes the one side is evil and the other side is good. In this case, this is a form of evil. The problem is the user, not usually the weapon. Euthanasia can be used as a weapon to actually cause serious harm and damage to families and the person there, or euthanasia could be used as a way to heal and help people suffering and maybe make them not suffer any longer. What we're seeing is the dark side of this coin. The dark side of the coin is what I'm going to show you, because in reality, we might have to think more harder on how we're going to do this, because reality is no fool's errand. We need to understand that maybe sometimes, maybe not to do it.
Picked up the phone and called Veterans Affairs Canada to get treatment for his combat-related PTSD and a traumatic brain injury. He expected help getting better and getting his life back. Instead, he got an unexpected and unwanted offer to help him end it through medically assisted death. Multiple sources have told Global News the veteran was shocked. The agent on the other end of the phone raised MAID as an alternative to treatment out of the blue. They are deeply concerned by the incident.
It's just flat out wrong.
Maxwell says veterans will often only come forward once, and an offer like this could deter them.
You get one chance at it. Every conversation matters.
Noting medically assisted death should not be discussed by VAC employees or offered as a service. However, VAC wouldn't say how many vets may have received similar offers. In a statement, Veterans Affairs Minister Lawrence MacAulay condemned the interaction, saying this should never have happened and that it was completely unacceptable.
And this is where the nefarious part comes in. We have the fact that this man here is specifically going out and seeking help, but instead he's being asked to pretty much off himself, which is what government does. Now, there's a lot more nefarious things happening here, because, let's be honest, we want to realize that these things that do happen is not what it seems to be. Now, we're going to go over a few things here. Now, obviously, that is kind of hard to really get the grasp of some of this stuff, so we'll be going a little bit on some of the articles, but not the full thing. This will obviously be put in the description so everybody can see, but here's what the bigger issues is that we have for specifically for minors and what they want to do. This is more of an issue than we want to really make it. This is more of an issue that we should probably be taking part of. So, we'll be going through two parts of this article, and then another article, potentially a third, so you guys get to see what's going on. But these are the big things that you guys need to understand here, because this is not something that is just something that's going to be going away. It's going to be going for sure in Canada. And it could very easily come to the States. So, without further ado, let's get into this. DWDC position on eligibility for mature minors. DWDC agrees that the existing eligibility requirement that the person have a grievous and irremediable medical condition should apply for mature minors. DWDC acknowledges that Canadian society will likely expect a minimum age for mature minors in the legislation, even though the emphasis at common law is on capacity and maturity and not chronological age. For this reason, DWC asks that Parliament amend the existing age requirements of 18 years of age to extend it to persons at least 12 years of age and capable of decisions with respect to their health. As with the results, there should be a presumption of capacity for these minors. Now, we have a few other things as well. Precision on safeguards for mature minors. WDC of the view that the safeguards that exist are now acceptable for eligible mature minors. WDC recommends that the informed consent of competent parent or guardian be required for eligible minors seeking, pretty much assisted suicide, who are 12 to 15 years of age inclusive, and that made assisted suicide assessors be required to consult a competent parent or guardian for eligible minors aged 16 and 17. This is Sydney Campbell, who has to obviously have to have she and her into her bio, because, that's just what you want. Notice the common thing here, guys, is that majority of the time when these people do this stuff, majority of the time when these people have this type of ideology or sickening view, they always have to have this she or her or their pronouns in their bio all the time, or at least in their name. For some god apparent reason, they always gotta have the pronouns. Pronoun this, pronoun that. It's a common thing, and you can see the evil tree that these people are. Now, we're gonna go move down to something more, a little bit more crazy here that seems to be here. There's two more things we'll go over, and then we're going directly to the next article. What medical decisions can a mature minor make today? It is important to know that the mature minor is a spectrum rather than a binary. This means that while some mature minors are legally capable of making decisions about end-of-life care, others are only able to make decisions about when to take a medication or whether to receive a vaccine. It also means that the assessment, whether formal or informal, of the young person's capacity must be continuous, as the mature minor's status may not be constant across decisions and time. Based on the AC Manitoba decision, mature minors can, in some cases, be legally capable of making end-of-life decisions, such as withdrawing life-sustaining treatment, but again, this is dependent on the capacity of the young person to understand their decision and their ability to provide consent. We're gonna have more here. Advocate for mature minors and pretty much assisted suicide are the issues related to the parliamentary review, including mature minors and assisted suicide in Canada, important to you. Do you want to help the constitutional rights for medical assistance in dying? We have created an advocacy toolkit and action guide that provides you with the resources you need to effectively engage your member of parliament. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this seems to be quite insane. Now, I have shown you guys so far two of the things here that would maybe be as negative and positive. Now, I'm showing you mostly the negative because there is kind of just very little of the positive. Now, we're going to go into this final article here because, what have you. So, first, I will say that there are experts saying that are troubled by Canada's euthanasia laws. But at the same time, we have this perspective inside the world of Canada's assisted suicide for mature minors. So, first off, we are going to go through one part of here, and then we're going to go into the actual money aspect, because this is not really about helping people. This is all about saving a couple bucks so that they can, help it. Because let's be honest, their country has free healthcare, universal healthcare. They can't afford to keep these people in these hospitals. So, in order to solve this issue, they have to yeet people out of existence, so that way they can keep their costs and keep their universal health care. See where I'm going with this, guys? See where universal health care is not actually beneficial, but completely negative in every regard? And now that they have this system in place, this makes them be able to keep universal health care, while also yeeting people, including children, out of existence. Sounds great, eh? Abel Pelletier was only 4 years old when his mother, Carrie Lynn Pelletier, began petitioning the Canadian Parliament to allow his decision to take his life in a medically assisted death. Abel was severely disabled because of a rare condition called Menic syndrome. The disease is incurable, although medications can manage certain aspects of the condition. Still, this case isn't what most people think of when they think of euthanasia or assisted suicide. They think of elderly people with maternal illness, not 4-year-olds. But this is where Canada's notoriously broad laws permitting medically assisted suicide have wound up. Now, we are going to work specifically the children. We're going to do killing the vulnerable, which we're not going to read the very first thing here because that's the thing that's only that I would say that matters. Medically assisted death for minors is an entirely new phenomenon. Netherlands allows it for 12-year-olds with parental consent and 16-year-olds without it. Additionally, euthanasia for babies 12 months and younger is legal in Netherlands. Its neighbor to the south, Belgium, has no age restriction but requires parental consent for children younger than 18 and mandates that the child have a terminal illness or be near death. Which, this one makes a little bit more sense, right? This one right here. Because if they have a terminal illness, which depends on what the terminal illness is, and near death, that makes more sense. You just kind of, want to make them go away, go out peacefully. But here's the bigger issue here. We're going to type in cost. And the big thing here, guys, is that cost is a pretty big word, right? So we're going to go with cost. I don't know if it will actually go here. So, we're going to do this. One Canadian patient with a degenerative brain disorder, Roger Foley, said that the director of ethics talked about the cost of keeping him alive in the hospital. When fully asked about long-term care, the director said, "My piece of this was to talk to you to see if you had an interest in assisting dying." Another doctor reportedly called a mother selfish when she refused medically assisted death for her daughter. Canadians' attitudes about medically assisted death seem to have been broadly influenced by a criminal case from nearly 2 decades ago. Before assisted suicide was legal, Robert Latimer killed his daughter because of her extensive medical issues, which included cerebral palsy, compressed organs, chronic pain, and the inability to talk or feed herself. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 10 years. A poll conducted shortly after his sentencing determined that 70% of Canadians believe that Latimer should have received a more lenient sentence, and 41% of Canadians believe that mercy killings should be considered legal. This is going back to the guy that we showed that pretty much, killed his kid or whatever mercifully because of the mere fact that his kid was suffering in this great problem. But the cost, guys, it was the cost that this person was concerned about. So when you talk about the cost and the issues, they don't care about the lives. They care about keeping their policies in place and be able to save money instead of actually caring for human lives. They're trying to go under the guise of saving human lives, but in reality, it's not really saving human lives, it's getting rid of human lives. That's the reality. And the other issue is, as well, how far is this going to go? Because it seems this is going into a very negative solution. And as I said before, since they do have universal health care and no people have to really pay for the medical stuff, they have to do something to cut the costs because people obviously can't afford it. People in Canada also have to wait in a huge, massive line, and they usually end up going to the United States to get medical treatment because they are in such a big line because of the universal health care. It is negative. It is bad. Do you see where I'm going with this? Democrats that are also that are potentially watching my channel, because you see where this is going. This could very easily happen in America, and this won't be pretty if it does. Universal health care is a death trap for everything involved. Learn from it. Learn what Canada was doing, and stop the hell that's becoming. That's it for the video, guys. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care.